Once upon a time, American backyards were more than patios and lawn chairs. They were living grocery aisles teeming with vibrant vegetables passed down through generations. From colonial plots to wartime victory gardens, these yards told stories. But as industrial farming surged and supermarket culture took root, some of the most flavorful, resilient, and historically rich vegetables quietly slipped away. Here are 20 garden vegetables that disappeared from our yards, but still deserve a place in our gardens. 20. Tennis ball lettuce. Small, tender, and nearly forgotten, tennis ball lettuce was once a regular guest at America's dinner table. Named for its petite, rounded heads, each about the size of an actual tennis ball, this butterhead lettuce was grown by Thomas Jefferson at Monticello. That alone should tell you it's special. With leaves that are buttery, sweet, and delicate, this 18th century heirloom thrived in colonial gardens, and for good reason. It matures in just 50 days, making it one of the quickest greens to harvest. It doesn't demand much space and grows well in containers. Even better, it can tolerate a light frost, which means you can start early in spring or extend your season well into the fall. Unlike modern lettuces bred for shipping and shelf life, tennis ball lettuce was grown for flavor and resilience. But over time, its delicate texture and small yield per head couldn't compete with larger commercial varieties. Today, it's nearly vanished from seed catalogs and grocery stores, but if you're looking for a lettuce with real history, old-world charm, and surprisingly easy cultivation, it's worth tracking down. 19. Long Island cheese pumpkin. Not all pumpkins were bred for carving or porch decorations. Some, like the Long Island cheese pumpkin, were bred for the kitchen. Named for its resemblance to a wheel of cheese, this pumpkin has been cultivated in the northeastern U.S. since at least the early 1800s. Its muted, buff-colored skin and low, rounded profile make it visually striking, but it's the inside that counts. The flesh is smooth, dense, and sweet, ideal for pies, soups, roasting, and purees. It cooks down into a velvety consistency that's perfect for fall and winter meals. It's also practical. This variety is naturally pest-resistant and stores exceptionally well, making it a valuable staple crop in its heyday. But it fell victim to the same industrial pressures that sidelined many heritage varieties. Uniform orange pumpkins bred for looks, not flavor, took center stage. Meanwhile, the cheese pumpkin quietly disappeared from most home gardens. If you're after a pumpkin that's as good for eating as it is for admiring, the Long Island cheese belongs back in your yard. 18. Purslane. Purslane isn't something you'll often find in seed catalogs or backyard beds these days, but not long ago it was one of the most valuable greens in the garden. This low-growing plant was once a staple in both kitchens and folk medicine cabinets. It has a slightly tangy, almost lemony taste, with thick, juicy leaves that make it perfect for fresh salads or cooked stews. Rich in omega-3 fatty acids, vitamin A, vitamin C, and essential minerals, purslane provided families with a healthy and reliable food source during lean times. It thrives where many other plants won't. Hot sun, poor soil, and drought don't bother it much. That resilience helped it flourish in backyard corners and between rows where nothing else would grow. So why did it disappear? Partly because it looked like a weed. It still gets pulled up and thrown away by gardeners who don't recognize what they're holding. But those who remember know better. Purslane was once the secret green that kept families fed during tough times. It's still worth growing today. 17. Jimmy Nardello's sweet Italian frying pepper. Every vegetable tells a story, but few as personal as Jimmy Nardello's pepper. In 1887, Jimmy's mother brought pepper seeds from their hometown in southern Italy to their new home in Connecticut. What grew from those seeds was a long, twisted red pepper with a flavor so sweet and rich it became a family treasure. Unlike the thick-skinned bell peppers you find in stores today, Nardello's peppers are thin-walled, tender, and bursting with a unique fruity sweetness. They shine when pan-fried, blistered over a flame, or sliced raw into salads. The plants themselves are prolific, yielding more peppers than most gardeners know what to do with. Despite its clear culinary advantages, the Nardello pepper struggled to compete with more visually uniform, mass-market varieties. For decades, it teetered on the edge of extinction until heirloom seed savers helped bring it back. Today, it's a favorite among chefs and backyard growers alike, but it's still far from mainstream. This pepper is a reminder that heritage and flavor often come from the humblest origins, and that saving a seed can save a story. 16th, glass gem corn. If there's a vegetable that looks like magic, this is it. Glass gem corn stuns at first sight. Every ear is a swirling palette of gem-toned kernels, sapphire blues, ruby reds, opal whites, and glistening golds. Developed by Carl Barnes, a Cherokee farmer, it represents years of careful seed selection and cultural preservation. Unlike sweet corn, glass gem isn't grown for fresh eating. It's a flint corn, ideal for popcorn or grinding into meal. It's drought-tolerant, thrives in poor soil, and holds deep cultural significance for indigenous communities. Yet, despite all that, it vanished from most gardens as commercially bred yellow corn became king. Today, it's enjoying a quiet resurgence, not just because it's beautiful, but because it represents something deeper about what happens when we let diversity flourish. And if nothing else, growing it will give you the most visually arresting harvest you've ever seen. 15. Stinging nettles. Most gardeners pull nettles without a second thought. After all, who wants a plant that bites? But back in the day, stinging nettles were gathered with care and turned into soups, teas, and nourishing broths. These plants grow quickly in disturbed soil and thrive in damp areas, making them ideal for the untamed corners of the garden. Yes, their leaves sting when touched raw, but once cooked, they become soft, tender, and earthy, much like spinach, but richer in vitamins and minerals. They were exceptionally high in iron and vitamin C, which made them essential for early spring diets when fresh food was scarce. Our grandparents didn't fear nettles. They harvested them in gloves, boiled them down, and turned them into something both healing and hearty. In a time when every meal counted, nettles earned their place on the plate. Today, they've been forgotten in favor of easier greens. But the next time you see nettles growing wild, don't pull them. Learn to use them. You might just be holding one of nature's best-kept secrets. 14th, mortgage lifter, tomato. Few vegetables carry a name as memorable as this. Developed in the 1940s by M.C. Biles, a.k.a. Radiator, Charlie, the mortgage lifter tomato, helped him pay off his home by selling seedlings for $1 each. It's a story of entrepreneurship, but also of incredible flavor. These tomatoes were big, really big. Individual fruits weighed up to 2 pounds, characterized by soft pink skin and a meaty texture. They were low in acid, rich in flavor, and ideal for slicing, saucing, and canning. And the plants? Vigorous and highly productive. But the mortgage lifter wasn't bred for uniformity or easy shipping, so it quietly disappeared from supermarkets. Even today, many gardeners don't know it exists. But they should, because this tomato isn't just historic, it's exceptional. 13. Bullnose pepper. Bullnose peppers were once a staple in early American gardens, and they go back further than you might think. Thomas Jefferson grew them at Monticello, making them one of the earliest documented sweet bell peppers in American history. They were characterized by their blocky, thick-walled, and intensely flavorful nature, ideal for stuffing or fresh eating. They were also resilient, adapting well to a variety of climates. Despite this, Bullnose peppers eventually lost ground to newer hybrids that favored symmetry over soul. But the bullnose has something modern peppers don't, a link to the past. Each pepper is a crunchy bite of history, ready to be rediscovered. 12th, Boston marrow squash. This hefty winter squash was once one of the most popular varieties in the northeastern U.S. Its orange flesh is fine-grained and sweet, with a flavor that shines in pies, purees, and roasted dishes. A single squash can feed a whole family. It grows vigorously, yielding large fruits that store well into winter. But it had a softer skin than today's tough-skinned hybrids, which made it harder to ship and more susceptible to handling damage. As food systems industrialized, the Boston marrow faded from the fields. But for home gardeners, it still offers everything you'd want in a winter squash: abundant yield, rich flavor, and deep heritage. 11th, Hamburg parsley. At first glance, Hamburg parsley looks like a regular parsley plant, but this heirloom herb hides something special underground, a long, pale taproot that tastes a bit like parsnip, only sweeter and earthier. In colonial times, families cultivated Hamburg parsley for both its leaves and roots. The greens were tossed into stews and stocks, while the root was harvested in the fall and used as a hearty vegetable. It was a slow-growing but reliable plant, thriving in cool climates and poor soils. Over time, it faded from memory. Many mistook its roots for plain old parsnips, and modern varieties of leaf parsley pushed it out of the kitchen. But what we lost was a two-for-one plant that gave both flavor and nourishment. The roots are high in calcium, and the leaves hold more vitamin K than spinach. For those who valued food for its nutrition and usefulness, Hamburg parsley was a natural choice, and it still is if you're willing to give it space to grow. 10th, Amish deer tongue lettuce. Don't be fooled by the name. Amish growers have cherished this lettuce for generations. Its leaves are narrow and pointed, hence the name, but their texture is crisp, and the flavor is mild and refreshing. It tolerates heat better than most lettuces and is slow to bolt, meaning you'll enjoy a longer harvest window. It also handles cooler weather well, which gives it one of the longest growing seasons of any lettuce. Because of its unconventional shape and heirloom status, it was gradually phased out of commercial seed lines. But in home gardens, it's an absolute gem. If you want salad greens with both resilience and flavor, this one's a sleeper hit. 9. Red fig tomato. These tomatoes are small, pear-shaped, and have a sweet tart flavor that made them beloved in 19th century Philadelphia. Known for their versatility, red fig tomatoes were commonly dried, preserved, or eaten fresh by the handful. They grow in heavy clusters on vigorous plants that continue to produce throughout the season. Their unusual shape and prolific yield made them a favorite in home gardens, but they struggled to gain commercial traction due to their thin skins and smaller size. In terms of flavor, they're hard to beat, and their charming appearance is just another reason to make room for them. 8. White egg turnip. This colonial-era root vegetable may be small, but it packs a sweet, delicate flavor that's hard to find in modern turnips. Its round, white shape resembles an egg, hence the name, and it matures quickly, often in just 30 to 40 days. It's perfect for roasting, boiling, or adding to stews. The roots are tender, and the plants are incredibly productive, making them ideal for small spaces or early season planting. Yet turnips as a whole have fallen out of favor, and the white egg variety nearly vanished. That's a shame, because it's one of the easiest and most rewarding root crops you can grow. 7. Jerusalem artichoke. The Jerusalem artichoke, or sunchoke as it's sometimes called, is a knobby, nutty root that comes from a sunflower species. It's not an artichoke at all, and it has nothing to do with Jerusalem. But it has a long, useful history in American gardens. These roots can be eaten raw, roasted, or sliced, and added to stews. Their flavor is mild and slightly sweet, and their crunch adds texture to any dish. More importantly, they grow well in poor soil, don't need much care, and return year after year once planted. But here's the catch. Sunchokes are high in inulin, a type of fiber that some folks don't digest easily. That earned them a reputation for causing gas. The solution? Ferment them first. A 48-hour soak is usually enough to mellow their effects. For families who knew how to prepare them, Jerusalem artichokes were a blessing, nutritious, plentiful, and long-lasting. If you're looking to revive an old root that once helped folks get through hard seasons, this one's worth a second look. 6th Georgia rattlesnake watermelon. Striped like a rattlesnake and often weighing over 40 pounds, this southern heirloom has been turning heads since the 1800s. Its sweet, juicy red flesh and excellent storage ability made it a favorite for summer gardens and community gatherings. Its vines are vigorous, requiring space to sprawl, but the payoff is worth it. Few watermelons deliver the same combination of sweetness, size, and historical significance. Unfortunately, smaller seedless varieties have dominated store shelves, and this once prized melon has become increasingly rare. For gardeners with the space to grow it, it's a showstopper in every sense. 5. Boston pickling cucumber. As the name suggests, this cucumber was bred with one goal: pickling. It produces small, uniform fruits with a crisp bite that's ideal for preserving in brine. But it's also delicious raw, adding snap to salads and sandwiches. Compact vines make it perfect for container gardening or tight spaces. It grows fast and yields generously, qualities that make it a mainstay in American gardens for generations. As industrial farming prioritized cucumbers that shipped well over those that tasted great, the Boston pickling variety slowly vanished. But for home gardeners, it remains one of the best options for fresh eating and old-fashioned canning. Fierda Skirret. Before the potato rose to power in American gardens, there was the skirret. This odd-sounding name belongs to a cluster-rooted perennial that once filled stew pots and root cellars. It grows in narrow, pale white roots that look like thin carrots. Their flavor is sweet, mild, and pleasantly nutty, something like a cross between a parsnip and a sugar beet. Skirret doesn't mind the cold, it doesn't mind the shade, and it doesn't need perfect soil. That's why it earned a place in early gardens, because even in poor conditions, it still grew. Unlike many modern crops, skirret has been used in traditional medicine for a wide range of purposes, from alleviating indigestion to promoting liver health. Whether you grow it for nutrition or history, it's a quiet vegetable that deserves more attention. As potatoes became more popular and easier to cook, skirret fell out of our memories. But it still offers something rare: roots that help build soil, attract pollinators, and provide consistent harvests with minimal effort. Tomatillo verde. Wrapped in a papery husk and glowing green beneath, the tomatillo is a staple of Mexican cooking that has long been grown in the American Southwest. Its tart, citrusy flavor makes it essential for salsa verde, but it's also great in soups, stews, and even jams. It thrives in hot, dry conditions and requires little maintenance. Once it starts producing, it doesn't stop offering an abundant harvest that can stretch across months. Despite its culinary importance, many American gardeners overlooked it, unsure of how to use it. But for those willing to experiment in the kitchen, it's an indispensable garden addition. 2. Strawberry popcorn. Tiny, red, and bursting with charm, strawberry popcorn isn't your average corn. Its compact ears and jewel-toned kernels make it a standout in any garden. And yes, it really pops when heated. Grown since the 1800s, it was once common in backyard plots across America, However, as larger, more uniform popcorn hybrids gained popularity, this variety all but disappeared. Yet, its charm hasn't faded. For gardeners who want both beauty and utility, strawberry popcorn is a delightful way to bring history and a little magic back to the garden. 1. Salsify. Salsify isn't flashy. It doesn't grow fast. It won't win prizes at the county fair. But this humble root was once one of the most essential foods in the American garden. Sometimes called the oyster plant for its subtle, briny flavor, Salsify resembles a thin, rough parsnip. Its taste falls somewhere between asparagus and artichoke, with a creamy, delicate texture when cooked. Families grew it because it thrived in poor soil and kept well underground until needed. It wasn't bothered by pests, and it didn't take up much space. It was high in inulin and supported gut health and digestion. So why did it vanish? Its roots are fragile. Machines used in commercial farming snapped them too easily. And in the rush toward crops that shipped well and looked perfect on shelves, Salsify got left behind. For gardeners willing to dig a little deeper, Salsify still rewards with one of the most refined flavors in the world of heirlooms. Our gardens have changed, but that doesn't mean we have to forget. These vegetables are more than plants. They're living pieces of history. Seeds carried in pockets, passed down through generations, cultivated with care. By growing them again, we're not just gardening, we're preserving. Hit the subscribe button if you learned something, and see you in the next video.